Hello, fans. Chad Jackson here in the Coach's Corner with head men's and women's tennis coach Simon Earnshaw. Pirates are headed to Surprise, Arizona for the 2013 NCAA Division II National Championships. And both teams, Simon, obviously defending champions, but not heading to Arizona as the top-ranked teams.
No, we had a tough road trip at the end of March. Knew going into that trip that it was going to be difficult to come out of that trip undefeated, and certainly Barry gave us a tremendous fight. Felt like we played well in those matches, but just on the day they were the better teams, and I think more often than not. It's actually normal to go in with a loss on your record. I think that the undefeated seasons are, well, the championship seasons are few and far between normally anyway, but certainly an undefeated season where you go all the way through and win a national title are very few and far between.
Talk a little bit about the women's draw first. You match up with Northwood, and if you get past them, you have a showdown with Barry coming up in the second round. And really, if you look on the other side of the bracket, the other Peach Belt Conference team has a incredibly tough matchup in the first round with Abilene Christian.
Yeah, I mean, the draw's certainly not being kind to the Peach Belt teams. I talked to Evan actually just before came in this morning, and they've certainly got a difficult matchup against Abilene. Our draw is just strangely familiar. I mean, it seems like we run up against Barry, and if we're somehow able to get past Barry, Hawaii Pacific are out there again, and I don't know how many years in a row it is now, but certainly it's at least 4 with Barry on our half of the draw, and Hawaii Pacific, I want to say it's maybe going on 5 now. Barry, we matched up against them in the 2010 quarterfinals as well, when we were both 1 and 2 in the nation. It's unfortunate. I think over the course of the season, both our teams have played some excellent tennis and had great results against everybody else. But that's just the way it is. We don't see the draw, so we don't know what goes on in that scenario. But that's just the way it's going to be. And the one thing that you have to say about it is both teams will meet each other on even terms. If both advance past the round of 16, and so it's going to be a good match, and probably will be a high level.
Armstrong men go in; they will face a couple of first-round opponents or first-time opponents, I should say, in the first couple of rounds if they do advance, starting off with New York Tech.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to look beyond each match. I mean, it's very easy to get ahead of yourself, particularly when you've been in the tournament several times, or you've got players that have been playing in the national tournament, and oftentimes that's fortunate enough to be in that situation. So yeah, I mean, you really don't know much. I actually met their coach when we were at the national indoors with Dan and Georgie in the fall, and he's young and excited, very motivated. So it's going to be an interesting match. I'm just glad we didn't get the 7 a.m. match. I mean, I have to say, in one way the draw was unkind to the women, but certainly from a match time standpoint, we definitely got the best match times on the Wednesday, and so hopefully we can get out there, and with the travel in mind, we're going to be able to put in a good performance, which can often be difficult when you're making the adjustment to a very different environment that they have out there compared to what we do here in Savannah.
Let's talk about that. Going to Surprise, Arizona, it's a place that is hosting the Division II tennis for the first time. But you took a trip to Las Vegas earlier this year in March, played 3 consecutive days in similar conditions. How do you think that will help your team this week?
Yeah, I don't know from a standpoint of altitude. I think Vegas is maybe a little bit higher. I mean, it's not really altitude in Vegas, but I mean the balls generally do fly. Certainly we have a lot heavier conditions here on the East Coast, and when you get out there the first day, which obviously we'll have a day or so of practice beforehand, the balls tend to fly and definitely carry, and that takes a little bit of adjustment. The ball, you can certainly serve bigger, you can get the ball through the court a little bit more easily, or at least through the air, depending on the speed of the courts. So I don't expect it to really be that much different to how it was in Las Vegas. Actually quite hot in Vegas when we were there, which was fortunate because we've not had much heat at all, especially recently. I mean, we're struggling to even make it into the 70s at the moment on the East Coast. So I think that the biggest handicap, once we're able to acclimatise to the actual flight of the ball and the way the ball moves around, is really just going to be the dryness and trying to combat becoming dehydrated without actually realising it.
Right.
Well, obviously, when you play in the heat in Orlando, you're very aware that you're sweating like crazy. But over there, you're not going to necessarily necessarily realise that you're even becoming quite dry when you're not doing anything. So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays itself out. Maybe even in the days before the tournament, because definitely in Las Vegas, it's noticeable how quickly it sucks the fluids out of your body, and obviously that's not necessarily conducive to playing long matches in high temperatures.
Armstrong begins action in the NCAA round of 16 on Wednesday, May 8th. The men play at 10 a.m. against New York Tech. The women play at 1 p.m. against Northwood. Those are local times out in Arizona, and you can follow action from the round of 16 on NCAA.com, and we will have our live blog all week long at ArmstrongPirates.com. Coach Earnshaw, good luck again this week, and good luck in the national championships.
All right, cheers, Chad.